So we're still in Brooklyn this week, and if this is what goes down at Access, I really hope we get an Access for SummerSlam here in Toronto, because what we got in Brooklyn tonight from the UK brand is pretty fucking awesome. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Past Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here, one day late with your April 24th NXT UK review. As I said in the intro, we're still in Brooklyn. We're still from the Access tapings that happened before WrestleMania. It's an interesting crowd. Like I said, the chants aren't exactly the same as they would be over in the UK. I think they're in Scotland when they go back, which will be interesting in and of itself. I sound like shit because I'm a little bit under the weather, so I apologize for that in advance. And we get started. And speaking of apologies, let's apologize to Ligero for trying to carry Cassius Ohno through a match. I have notes for this match. I'm not going to bore you with them. A lot of really cool evasion stuff from Ligero. Hits a slice bread number 2 on Cassius Ohno that looks really ugly because Ohno fell the wrong way. The match ends when Ohno fucks with his mask and hits him with a cheap shot in the back of the head. I don't know what we gained from moving Cassius Ohno to the UK brand. We know about somebody else that's moving to the UK brand quite soon, and that'll be a lot of fun. But other than that, I don't know why we carried over. It's just I don't know why he's the gatekeeper, so to speak. I mean, next week on NXT proper, we got Kushida debuting, and he's debuting against Cassius Ohno, and I really just don't... I want to give a shit about Kushida. I really do, because I've heard so much about him from other people, from you guys that have let me know stuff down in the box below and on Twitter. I really wish he was facing somebody that I give a shit about. Jordan Devlin, in the back, is talking some shit about Dunn and Walter and how nobody cares about them having a rematch, even though they do. Talks about his match with Walter next week. He says he's going to make himself undeniable to the new champion and to the general manager, Johnny Saint. We see a video package for the tag team of Wild Boar and Primate. Apparently their tag team is called The Hunt. I wonder if they will come to the main roster and be renamed like The Zoo Experience by Vince McMahon. Yeah, I do. It's the thing. They're going to be on next week. So we got Walter versus Jordan Devlin next week, and we got Wild Boar and Primate. The Hunt are coming to NXT UK next weekend as well. Fabian Aichner and Marcel Barthel walking through WrestleMania Access, making fun of the fans. Fans are doing their, make you a champion, get a picture with a belt, do your own fake entrance, etc. It's like, remember when it took a lot of hard work and dedication to be in the ring like us and do what we do, etc. And then they pointed it to posters of Yokozuna and Bret Hart and Razor Ramon, etc. Look at these legends. Look at these legends like us. The ring is sacred, and we're gonna prove it to you. Roddy Rah heel banter. Judging by what's coming up for these two that I'm not going to spoil in this video for those of you that don't read spoilers, I don't know. I feel like they're going to get prominently featured despite themselves, because these are two really good wrestlers in the ring. And I know I say this a lot recently. I say this on the NXT reviews when we talk about the Forgotten Sons. They're great, and I want to be even more excited about them, but they're just missing something. You know who's not missing something, though, is the NXT UK Women's Champion, Toni Storm. Says she welcomes New York to the NXT UK brand, welcomes NXT UK to New York, talks about how proud she is to represent her brand as the Women's Champion on the most important weekend of the year. Which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny when they acknowledge what day it actually is in a taped show, because, WrestleMania was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So to watch tonight's show, or last night's show, I should say, and hear her still refer to it as the WrestleMania weekend, it's, if I wasn't feeling like shit and if my brain wasn't absolutely flooded with snot, I could come up with a really good time travel joke, but it's just not there. Basically, to be there in Brooklyn representing NXT UK as the NXT UK Women's Champion, big prideful moment for her, etc. And she talks about 2 weeks ago defeating Ginny and how it was one of the hardest defenses of her title reign so far. She brags about her entire division. It gets a little babyface promo-y here, but it's okay because she still pulls it off well. and she gets the crowd going. We have some of the best talent in the world in the NXT UK women's division. I've had 3 killer matches with Rhea Ripley, regardless of what I think of her. They were killer matches. We got young girls like Xia Brookside. We got badasses in the back like Nina Samuels. And she gets really, really excited. She says, we even have Piper Niven. Now, go back to the first Mae Young Classic and watch the match between Piper Niven and Toni Storm. You will not regret it if you haven't seen it already. And then she says, but I plan on being NXT Women's Champion for a long time. And that's the end of her promo, and it's sort of a, okay, you came out and you said a lot, but you didn't really say much. But as she's going back up the ramp, she gets a stare down. She gets a stare down from Kaylee Ray, who's another badass from the Mae Young Classic, and they have a stare down on the ramp. You can see her sort of mouthing to her. It's like, you know, you're naming all those names, you forgot about mine. And then she goes on to her match, and her match is against Xia Li, also from the Mae Young Classic. Now, they say a lot of times that Xia Li is debuting on the NXT UK brand. Now, is this like Mia Yim, who was heavily involved last time they had some crossover matches, that, hey, debuting just means it's the first time she's ever been on the brand? Or is Xia Li from China actually part of the UK women's roster? That I don't know. Collar and elbow tie up in an armbar and an arm breaker by Ray to start the match. Wrist lock by Leah, snapmare and a knuckle lock. Arm wrench by Ray. Gut shot, forearm, corner suplex. Sorry, corner spear, I should say. Drop kick by Lee, who eats the post shoulder first. Mudhole by Ray, but the key lock is reversed into the turnbuckle, which is a nasty, nasty spot. Snapmare by Ray, a seated armbar with knuckles in the ribs. She's got her in the armbar. She sits down in the armbar, and what does she do? You got the arm up like this. You got the ribs nice and exposed. You drill the knuckles into the ribs. It's great. It's a little thing. It's not a dastardly thing like going outside the ring, grabbing a chair and bashing her in the face, because it's WWE and that doesn't happen. But just, it's that little thing. If you've ever seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this is a terrible, terrible example, but you don't cringe when you see the big retard with the chainsaw lopping people's limbs off, because you can't identify with that. But what you can identify with is the guy getting dragged down the hallway, down into the basement, and you see him trying to hold onto the wall, and his fingernails start breaking off, and it just sends that shiver down your spine. Now, I don't know what it's like to be suplexed. I don't know what it's like to be speared. I don't know what it's like to be, you know, Canadian destroyered. But I do know what it's like to get a punch in the ribs. So to see somebody's completely exposed ribs just get grinded on like a fucking meat grinder is more impactful to me than, you know, a 360 half gainer off the rope through a table, because I've never experienced that. Don't know if that surprises anybody. I have not been 450 splashed through a table. I have been punched in the ribs. That's just a thing. Arm drag by Lee. Sorry for the tangent. It's just, you know, I got the really weird ways of explaining myself sometimes. Irish whip, series of right hands, fake out punch by Lee, a super kick by Ray. She hits the Widow's Peak. Victoria. Anybody remember Victoria? Victoria, the Widow's Peak. It's great. Kaylee Ray gets the win. Xia Li doesn't look too shabby. I like Kaylee Ray. I hope they push her. It's going to be good. We see video footage of Piper Niven at Access. She talks about Rhea Ripley being a bully, and basically, you know, she literally says, what's she going to do when somebody's too big to bully? And I've seen some people, and people are shitty, and people are going to make the direct comparison to Nia Jax. Please don't, because Piper Niven's actually good. I've seen a lot of people talking about the size of Piper Niven, and I've seen her on social media talking about her own size and how she uses it to her advantage. She does the big cannonball gimmick, etc. But I think you're asking for a little bit of unintentional attention when you've got somebody cutting a promo and saying that they're too big to bully. I wish we lived in a world where that wasn't a thing, and that she could just be like, okay, sure, try to push me around, go for it. You know, low center of gravity, all that kind of thing. But there are assholes out there that are going to take that completely the wrong way, and it's going to suck a whole lot. I like Piper Niven. I like Piper Niven in the Mae Young Classic. As I said before, when we were talking about the Toni Storm promo, go back to Mae Young Classic Season 1, or sorry, Round 1, or the first one. I believe it's the quarterfinals. Toni Storm, Piper Niven. It's fucking amazing. Go watch it. I was heartbroken because I think Piper Niven won that match. Spoiler alert. But it's a great match nonetheless. That was the year that I was all in for Toni Storm to win, and she didn't, which made me sad. Anyways, our main event, Babyface versus Babyface. Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster versus Mustache Mountain. Bate and Andrews start the match. Very, very, very British handshake to start the match. Bate works the arm to start and is reversed by Andrews. Chain wrestling sequence and a test of strength. Overhand wrist lock by Bate. Arm drag by Andrews. Drop kick by Bate. Seven clubs the back and then shoulder tackles him into the corner. A trip by Flash. Front face lock chops by Seven. Short DDT by Seven. Now it's cool. You see Bate, Bate is stronger than his two opponents, but he's smaller than Seven. So you see Bate, you see Flash, you see Mandrews, and they're all sort of tiptoeing around the same sort of size. Bate's bigger, but whatever. Then you get Trent Seven in there, who sort of dwarfs them all. Sorry, guys. So when he comes in here, the whole friction of the match just changes, is what I'm saying. Leg drop by Seven, seated double wrist lock, sort of just gets him in the double wrist lock and slowly just sits him down. There's an old expression that Jim Ross used to use all the time: when you control the head, you control the body. That's what he always used to say to make a headlock sound more exciting than it actually is. Every single time I watch the British style of wrestling, I used to call it the Pete Dunne style because he was the guy I was familiar with, but it's slowly becoming evident to all of us that it is sort of a British style. Go for the wrist. You control somebody's wrist, you can basically take them wherever you want, and it's really, really effective, and especially when there's a size difference to play with, and it's all good when you got a little guy either getting away from somebody with a size difference, or you got somebody with a size difference using that mentality himself. I mean, God, look at what Pete Dunne did at TakeOver, manipulating the fingers of Walter, who's like a third bigger than he is. Back elbows by Andrews, a dropkick by Flash, a springboard moonsault by Flash, and a headbutt. Flash gets tossed out of the ring. Corner uppercut. Corner uppercut on both of his opponents by Tyler Bate is what my notes should say, because I just watched the match a second ago. Helicopter spin, big boot combination. Sorry, helicopter spin, helicopter and a big spin. I can speak. I promise you guys. I really can speak. It's like the badly written notes thing. It's not a gimmick. I really can speak without making my words sound like they're in a blender. We have a helicopter / big spin combination by Bate. He does the Cesaro big spin with one of the other guys on his shoulder. They're both getting spun. Everybody's getting dizzy, including him. It's all good. Head scissor by Flash, a helicopter spin again by Bate on the outside. Running star press by Bate when we get back in the ring. And then my clipboard falls over because why not? Fuck me, right? Chops by Andrews. Double Pele by Andrews to both of his opponents was really nice because he sort of does the splits as he comes up for the Pele. Tandem suicide sentons by Andrews and Flash are picture perfect. Tornado DDT by Flash, chops by Seven. Lariat and a Snapdragon combination by Bate and Seven. Right hands by Bate and chops by Andrews. And now we get some pretty shit here. We get an Enziguri by Andrews, but that's just the setup. The combination is a high knee by Flash into a poison Hurricane Rana in the center of the ring by Andrews. But a knee drop burning hammer combination from Mustache Mountain gets the win. Now, this wasn't a title match. This wasn't a number one contenders match. And Mustache Mountain didn't need this victory. That last sequence, that high knee into the Poison Rana by Andrews and Flash, should have won them this match. I like Mustache Mountain. Fortunately, through going to Destiny shows, etc., I've actually had the chance on 2 occasions to meet Mustache Mountain. They seem like genuinely chill dudes from the 2 seconds that I got to talk to them. But they don't need the victory. Flash and Andrews needed this victory. As much as I love this match and as much as I don't mind Mustache Mountain winning because I am a fan of theirs, I think them winning was the wrong decision, and I think a pretty generic finish of theirs after the knee into the Rana combination by the other two, I think NXT UK missed the switch on this by about this much. It's kind of a bummer, but it was still a fucking fantastic match. If you haven't seen it, you should go back and see it. Actually, watch the Kaylee Ray match as well. Don't waste your time with Cassius Ohno. Ligero, unfortunately, had to, so he took the bullet for all of us. I don't even know why I'm mentioning it again, other than fuck Cassius Ohno. That's it. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. I'm losing my voice. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Freak like me.